Hey, what's up y'all? Welcome back to the channel. So today I'm out here at Naval Hill Disc Golf Course, or Shelby Park. This is in downtown Nashville. As some of you may know, the Music City Open is going to be taking place here in a couple weeks at the end of September. And for some of the divisions, they'll be using Naval here as one of the courses. So some exciting stuff. It's been a while since I've got to play in tournaments. I believe I'm going on like 6 months, I think. So I'm really excited. I'm going to be playing in rec. I'm going to use the Music City here as kind of a gauge as to what division I should be playing in. My rating still allows me to play in rec, so that's what I'm going to do, see if I can take it down, and then we'll go from there. So I'm really excited because for those of you who are from the Nashville area, we're going to be playing for our first course will be Naval Hill, which is a very elevated course. Has a lot of really cool shots on it, so I'm pretty excited for that. Then we'll be playing Two Rivers Disc Golf Course and then Baby Cane at the Cane Ridge Disc Golf Course. So I'm really excited for it. And so today, for today's video, I'm going to take you guys through a practice round out here at Naval Hill. I'm going to be playing a scoring round on my first shots, and I'm going to be throwing those the way that I'm kind of trying to prep that I will be for the tournament. But then I'm also going to show some other lines that are out here. So on some of the holes, I'll probably be throwing a backhand, because that's what I imagine some of them will be my actual shot. But then I'll go ahead and show the forehand lines and the turnover lines too, because I would realize that there's not really much video coverage of Naval Hill out here. So for all of you rec players here at the 2020 Music City Open, if you guys want to kind of get a gauge here on the course, if you haven't got out here to play it much yet, I'm going to attempt to try to show you guys all the different lines and maybe some of the layup zones and all that of how you want to play Naval Hill. So hole 1 here is 302 feet. It's pretty much straight in front of me. All the holes are par 3s out here except for one. I believe hole 15 is a par 4. So I would say it plays pretty relative to par. You got to be shooting pretty good to get under. So, but hole 1 I would say is one of the more gettable birdies on the course. My play is a biofusion trespass, kind of hyzer flip up this right side. I'm trying to cut just inside the deep big tree in the middle and leave myself with about a 20-25 foot putt. So I'm going to go ahead and get this kicked off and we'll see how it goes. Okay, so I released that a little bit low and I actually went the right side gap. But the reason why I'm taking that side is because I feel most comfortable with that shot, and I think that it should be a pretty safe play to always get me a putt around circle. So I'm going to show 2 other lines. There's a forehand line left of this big tree in the middle, and then there's also, of course, the turnover line. So my forehand is not the best, and neither is my turnover, so we'll see how I execute some of these shots, but I'm at least going to show you that you could take these lines, and if you're better than I am at them, these might be your preferred lines. I'm going to go forehand next. I'm going to use my Destiny for that, try to hyzer flip it up just tight of this tree. Sometimes I've actually parked this basket doing this, it's just not as consistent for me. Okay, so that one worked out really good. I'm probably only at about 20 feet, so I even have to admit, as I was kind of playing earlier before I started the video, I've been putting that forehand pretty close. So depending on what the wind is doing on tournament day, the forehand could be my play on this hole. Especially, I think this tree in the middle, I could see them making this a Mando. The caddy book hasn't been released yet, so I'm not for sure. If this is a Mando left of the tree, then I would definitely go with the forehand. Then for my last shot, I'm going to show you the turnover line. So it's basically taking that same as the forehand line, except for you're throwing it backhanded. So I'm going to throw a beat-in lucid trespass. So I smacked that tree right in the middle, which that's what you have to beat throwing the turnover line. I definitely think if you can go backhand on this hole, I think going right of the tree, as long as there's no Mando, is going to be the safest play to at least always guarantee a par. If you have the forehand hyzer flip up, that works very well. The turnover line, I just think it brings the trees into play more. If you overturn it, you could go be in the road. You know, if you don't get it turned over at all, you could be way left. So that's your most comfortable shot. It's an option, but it definitely won't be what I'm going with. Okay guys, so just for reference, this my forehand right here, which was about 20 feet. My backhand trespass actually got a little bit closer, I think. So those are the lines, the possibilities. You'll just have to make the choice on which one you want to throw. So. Okay guys, that one would be a little bit painful. Definitely looking to convert on putts like that. Didn't get too much warm up in before this, but that'll be all right. That's a par on hole 1. Okay guys, so hole 2 is going to be one of the kind of the trickier holes on the course, I think. This one's 292 feet, pretty much dead straight in front of me. There's the road OB on the right, and then there's also a road that's deep of the basket by probably around 30 feet or so. Also, this hill is pretty steep down to the left, so if you were to hit the hill and start rolling, you could potentially go a long ways, especially if the grass is dry on tournament day. So I see this hole to have 3 different options. I see the turnover backhand shot, the left side of this tree in the middle, and there's also a forehand flex line, and then there's also the hyzer flip backhand straight up the middle. You could also go over to the road, but I think that's not a very smart choice, bringing the OB into play on just hole 2 when you don't have to. So personally, my play is going to be to go with the turnover backhand with the Destiny. This is my most unstable one, so I don't really have to worry about it fading out too much, even if I don't get it all the way turned over. And I think this gives me the best chance to have a longer look at birdie, but not really bringing much of the danger into play. But I will also show the forehand flex line and the hyzer flip up on the right side. So we're going to go with the turnover backhand though for my scoring shot. Also, be careful on this tee pad. It's pretty elevated off the ground, so beware of that. Okay, so as you can see from that, I also am working with a little bit of a headwind, so that makes this a little bit tougher. But I actually did get that to turn over. It just turned over a little bit too much, but it just hit the ground, kind of cut rolled out, and I'm probably at around 60 feet. So I'm not really too worried about getting the 2 on this hole. If I get it, that's great, but to me this is a bonus birdie. So I'll go ahead and show the forehand line now and the backhand line. Okay, so the hyzer flip up back line, I'd also go with the Destiny. I'm not really playing for a 2 definitely if I take this. This is just a safe play. Unless I absolutely square the pole. I didn't throw that good, but you can see the line would just be hyzer flipping it up straight, fading out into the middle of the fairway, and you'd probably have about a 100-foot approach. The forehand flex line is definitely not my comfortable shot, so I highly doubt this would go well, but I'm just pointing it out for those of you who are proficient at this shot. That was actually probably one of my better flex lines I've thrown in a while with it, but that's still a pretty far shot. So for my personal game, the turnover backhand will definitely be the play on hole 2. Okay guys, so I'm up here at my turnover backhand, and like I said, I'm right around 60-ish feet, edge of circle 2. What I like about this is that it's a pretty safe play for me. I think I could potentially get this inside the circle, but honestly, I'm okay with having a deeper circle 2 putt as long as it's safe on hole 2, because it's a bonus birdie, and if I hit it, I know that it'd be a big confidence boost. But my main concern is just getting off this hole with a par and making sure I don't bogey or anything. So we're gonna see if I can drain this one though. A little bit of wind. Got a chance. All right, so didn't quite make it all the way up there, but I'll tap that one in. We'll be moving on to hole 3. Okay, so hole 3, I think there are a few different options on this one. Personally, I'm still trying to decide myself which one I'm gonna go with. But the basket here is around 300-ish feet. It plays up this fairway with the opening and then down to the right. So I see a few different options here. I think that what I'm gonna go with is probably the hyzer flip up forehand, because I think this keeps me away from the trees best. And then while the disc's natural fly down the forehand is going to fade down the hill towards the right to the basket. This is a pretty tough hole. It definitely will be birdied a lot. I wouldn't say it's necessarily a bonus birdie for me, but it could be a little bit tough, especially if we were facing a headwind. Of course, there's also the turnover backhand, and then there's also a roller play on it that I think is there, which I'm kind of testing out, so we'll see. But I'm going to go ahead and throw the forehand here for my shot and see how that goes. Okay, so that forehand worked out pretty good. You'd have to flip it up a little bit flatter to get it to penetrate all the way to the basket, but that's a long, probably 45-foot look, so we'll see how that one plays. I'm also going to show the turnover backhand and then a roller play as well. So for the turnover backhand, I go with my understable lucid trespass. Man, I might have to rethink my play on this hole. I just smoked that. Well, this hole will very much so depend on what the wind is doing. If I have a strong headwind coming up this hole, I'm really just going to be playing this for a 3. Right now, I actually have a little bit of a tailwind. So I think if I had this same wind in the tournament or no wind, that turnover backhand would be pretty, I don't know, it'd be pretty appealing to me. It's not so much even a turnover, it's really just hitting it flat with a sort of understable disc and letting it drift right and then just relying on hitting a putt. So for the last shot, I'm going to go with a backhand roller. I don't know if I would recommend this as a play. It definitely can filter all the way down to the basket, but for those of you who might like to throw rollers, I think it is possible on this hole. Yeah. So actually that was on a really good line, but I hit a root. So I don't know, I think air shot's probably your best bet on this hole, but we'll get to see. Hey guys, so I'm here at my forehand. Ideally, I'd like to still be pushing a little bit flat to the left side of the main tree on my left. But it's okay if I cut inside. This leaves me with about around a 50-foot putt. So I think more than likely if there's no wind, I probably will go with this, mainly because of the reason I feel like the forehand for myself and my game pretty much takes the early trees out of play. So it pretty much guarantees me a par on this. While the more aggressive shot is the flat to turnover backhand, but I do feel like if I accidentally yank that, I can hit one of the early trees right off the tee pad, be scrambling for par. And on only the hole 3 of the course, especially in the first round, I'm just looking to not lose any strokes. And if I make good shots or make good putts to start gaining strokes on people, then that's kind of my game plan. So, but we're going to try to hit this putt, get under par here on hole 3. So, again, circle 2 putting hasn't been the best lately, but that was around a 50-55 footer. But I'm right underneath the basket for a par, so I'm pretty satisfied with that. But we'll also check out where my turnover backhand landed. Okay guys, so hole 4 out here at Naval Hill is probably the first one that you're really looking to try to pick a birdie up on. This one's 285 feet, straight in front of me, so this tree in the middle, just directly in front of me. This is slightly to the left, and then about another 200 feet. So this one starts to really show the elevation out here at Naval Hill. For one, I'll note the tee pad is slightly uphill and it's not that long, so it makes the run up a little bit tricky. And I really note that because it does not feel comfortable to run up on this tee pad. So you got a few different lines. I think what my line is going to be, as long as there's no Mandos out here that they stick in, I'm going to go left side of the big tree in the middle on a forehand, flat with a Lucid X trespass. What I like about this play is that this hill, especially by the green, slopes very fast to the left. Also, today it's a little bit wet out, so it's not quite as fast of a green, but normally this green is extremely fast. If you hit next to the basket, you're probably skipping 50, 60, could possibly all the way go down to the bottom of the hill, which is about 100 feet. So throwing a backhand that's skipping down the hill is a very controlled shot. So what I like about the forehand is I can hit this flat and I'm trying to cut just inside the first guardian tree short of the basket. If I do that, I'm leaving myself with probably around a 20 to 25 foot putt, and I feel confident in making those. So also I like the run up better on the sidearm than the backhand, so I think this will be my play. I've hit the backhand multiple times before and parked it, but I just feel like there's more danger that comes into play on that shot. So We do have very thick woods on the left, so you definitely, if you're throwing the forehand, do not want to turn anything over because that could get very dangerous. But besides that, you really just don't want to be skipping down the hill. Okay, and pretty much I executed that just like I'd like to. A little bit shorter maybe, but that's still a 25-foot putt, and I'm ready to get my day going by then on hole 4 to be able to connect on a 25-footer. The other lines that I'm going to show you are the backhand line, right side of it on a hyzer. I would go with my beat-in Lucid Convict. I'm pretty much just going to try to hit this flat, push the tree on this right side kind of in the middle, just be on a hyzer angle, hopefully hit 20-30 foot right of the basket, pin high, and just skip down to it. Okay, so I did that one very well. I didn't quite get all the way to the basket, but I'm probably sitting with about a 25-foot putt on there. So it's definitely a play. It's just extremely technical on how you hit the ground and what angle, and also disc choice would be paramount in there if you're throwing that line. And the last shot that I want to show is straight up the middle with an understable mid-range. I would throw the Bounty for this. Shout out to Dynamic Discs. The Bounty is their new understable mid-range. If you haven't got your hands on one yet, they have them on their website from the AT&T Disc Golf Experience, and also they have them available at Trilogy Challenges. So amazing disc, probably one of my favorite additions to my bag here in 2020. I just posted a review on my channel the other day about the Bounty, so if you haven't already watched that, go ahead and head on over to that video. I'll probably have a link down in the description or something at the end of the video. So go check that out and let me know what you think of it. So this would not be probably my most comfortable line to go straight up the middle, but for some of you, this is your bread and butter. So we're going to try to show you what it looked like. Okay. I would note there I had a pretty good headwind coming at me, which was really playing with the disc, but that landed in a really good spot. So probably have about a 25-30 foot putt there as well. So this real hole is really, you want to pick up a birdie on it, and you just got to throw whatever shot you're most comfortable with. So go check out those and see if I can sink the putt. Okay guys, so my play, when I was planning on going with for the sidearm, actually turned out the best out of all these. To be honest, I feel like all those shots were really good. But this one still got me the closest. I only got about 20 feet left, so I think this is definitely going to be my play because I'm playing against the hill instead of with it, and I like my chances of sticking the green better that way. So, but we'll see what everybody else decides. Okay, that's a solid 20-foot putt on hole 4. As long as I've parred at least the first 3, I'm perfectly happy with only being 1 under at this point. Definitely want to try to pick this hole up, but I definitely just don't want to be bringing in any of the dangers on this hole. So moving on to hole 5, these next couple ones are some of the most fun ones on the course. Okay guys, so I'm on hole 5. I just got a birdie there on hole 4. So for my scoring round here on my first shots, I am sitting at 1 down through the first 4. Hole 5 is about 280-ish feet. That's what the T sign says and UDisc says. But it plays significantly shorter than that because it's steeply downhill. This hill that I'm playing down is where hole 4's basket is, just over here to my left. This is what you'd be at the bottom if you were to skip down that hill. So that's going to be the danger on hole 4. Hole 5 is down this hill, across into that grass deep, and then dog legs left. So really, in my opinion, I think you want to throw an overstable mid-range. In this situation, for me, that's the Dynamic Discs Lucid Justice. I think this is really the utility shot hole where you want to push it straight with an overstable disc, just let the disc fade out, and then see what type of putt you have left. Hopefully your circle are in. The only real danger on this hole is going left into these woods, which they are very thick, so if you go in there, you could be scrambling for a par. Bogey could easily come into play. Road is also deep. So I'm really only going to show my shot on this hole because It's a backhand hyzer, and then you just have to figure out what disc you're going to do it with. So for me, this is the justice shot every single time. So. Also, this is definitely one of the holes that you would like to pick up a birdie on as well. Okay guys, I didn't really execute that one all that good. I had that on way too much of an up and down hyzer, and I wasn't getting any glide out of that as it was fading out. So that's about worst case scenario in my opinion, and that leaves me with probably around a 45-foot putt. So we'll go check it out. Okay guys, so the plus side of throwing a slower disc like a justice or something is that a bad shot still leaves me with a 45-foot putt. So we'll see if we can connect on this one. Could have used that, but hopefully in the tournament this will be a birdie. Okay guys, so hole 6 is probably the signature hole on the course in my opinion, and I think pretty much everyone unanimously agrees with that. The hole 6 is 319 feet in the C position. There's a creek that plays straight down the fairway and just to the left. It's not very wide, but if you land in it, it is OB. So there's a couple different options. My play on this is that I feel like this is one of the harder birdies on the course. And it definitely is doable, but I think it's extremely easy to bogey this one because of the OB creek. Basically, if you hit a tree as you're trying to pass it, you're going to be in the middle of it, you're going to be going to the short side of it, or the long side of it, and then you're going to be having to putt from probably 50 feet or so to save a par. So to me, I see this fairway and I just see a layup play. I'm going to throw a sidearm justice because I want to just play straight up the fairway and then finish to the right. Probably throw a forehand harp into the green and just take my par and get off this hole. There is some neighbor houses off to the right on a fence, so if you shank something really high right, you might be able to get in there, and also I don't think you can get your discs back by just going over the fence or anything, so beware of that. But my play is going to be the sidearm justice layup. You obviously could go straight with the putter or something. I'm not going to demonstrate that, but that's an option for the layup. Then I also will show the aggressive play, trying to cross the creek and get yourself a birdie look. So first of all though, for my scoring shot, I'm going to go with a sidearm justice. And some of you may be wondering, why is he going with the justice? Why doesn't he go with something faster and try to get down to the end of the fairway? The reason for that is that I feel like I can stay in the fairway every single time, not bring into the trees on really either side into play. And I really don't need much distance. I just need to have some open line to be able to throw across the creek. So to me, I'm all right with the 3 on this hole, and throwing like that off the tee is the best way that I'm going to get there consistently. So the aggressive play, I would go with my hybrid Sergeant, also a new disc to my bag. Check out my review on that as well if you want to see how it flies. You got to hit something on a little bit of a hyzer, be pushing straight, and then you just got to hit one of the gaps in between the trees. The biggest one is about 30 foot wide, so you definitely can execute it, but it becomes a little bit dangerous. So see if I can hit it. Honestly, I was actually listening for maybe an ace on that. I should be parked underneath the basket there. So I'm pretty much already decided that the layup play is going to be my play. Just because I think this is one of the only holes on the course that I could take a big number on, and being the first round of the tournament, my main concern is just trying to be as close to the top as I can after the first day, but just be in position to attack at 2 rivers. So, but your play might be different, so this at least is showing you some different options. Push this quite deep enough. I'd like to be a little bit farther, but I can change that for on tournament day pretty easily. I just have a pretty simple approach. All I gotta do is miss these trees obviously, so I'm just gonna be throwing a backhand harp, put it up by the basket. Hey guys, to be honest, I actually just blew over the basket. Almost threw that in for birdie. Now granted, I did park my second shot, the more aggressive play, but I feel like that could be a 50-50. I could either take a bogey, or birdie, or a bogey. So this depends on how aggressive you want to be on day 1. Okay guys, so I blew over the basket a little bit. I don't want to see this happening very often. I do have a little bit of a comeback putt, so try to put this in. Okay guys, that's a pretty big confidence booster. I'm telling myself right now though, I'm just going to try to stick with the layup play. I feel like I'm going to execute it more, but we'll see. But right now I'm saying I'm going with the layup play. Also, my aggressive play landed right here. Would have been a tap in birdie. So, I mean, you're gaining strokes on the field if you birdie this, but it just depends on how you're feeling that day. So, on to hole 7. Okay guys, I'm here on to hole 7. I just got a par on hole 6. So feeling pretty good. I'm 1 down. If I'm in my ideal world, I'd like to be 2 to 3 down to the first 6 holes, but I'm definitely all right with being around par, 1 or 2 down, somewhere in there. So hole 7 is, I think, one of the other biggest birdie gets on the course. It's only 303 feet, just behind the big tree in the middle. You really have nothing in the way. Your only danger is the road up left, which that should really never come into play. The biggest danger is turning it over down the hill, or if you're throwing a forehand, throwing straight into it and going into the woods right. These are extremely thick. If you go in there, there's a high likelihood you don't even find your disc. So if you're throwing a backhand on this hole, you just want to make sure it's something relatively stable. If you're throwing a sidearm, make sure you hang it out up left. To me, really, there's only one good play on this hole, and that's just a pretty spike hyzer backhand. If you don't have that, you have the forehand play also. But I'm just going to demonstrate the backhand on this one. This one's very plain and simple. It's just a stock shot, as Paul Ulibarri says. You just need to execute, get your birdie on this hole. Something to note right now, I do have a decent little right to left tailwind, so that'll kind of play in. And also, one other thing I wanted to note, the walk from 6's basket to 7's tee pad is an extremely steep hill. So make sure you pack water as you come out here. You're ready to do some hiking, because Naval Hill will wear you out even just through the front 9, and then the back 9's even more brutal as far as the walking. So be ready for that. Okay, I'm pretty much right on the pin there. I would like to push that just a little bit deeper and not actually touch the tree, but overall I'd be happy at that anytime. Okay guys, overall I'd like to be a few feet closer, but in tournament play you need to be confident in the 25 footer, so let's put this in for a birdie. There we go. Birdie on hole 7. Okay guys, so I just got a birdie on hole 7, so that puts me at 2 down through the first 7. Hole 8 I think will be one of the more difficult holes to get a 2 on out here, especially on the front 9. It's only 250 feet down the hill, but it snakes to the right and then back to the left, tucked behind some trees. So I think being the first round of the tournament, one of your biggest concerns is just not blowing up on any of the holes. There is an OB creek to the right that comes into play too if you put it too far right. So my play is just going to be a turnover backhand with a warden, a moonshine warden. Just put myself in the middle, pitch up for a 3 and get off the hole. Because I believe that the first 7 holes of the course are pretty attackable. But 8 and 9 are 2 of the hardest holes on the front 9, probably are the hardest holes on the front 9. So I'm just trying to get off the hole with a 3. If I threw it in for a 2 or something, that's great. But I'm not really too concerned with that. So I'll show you the turnover backhand with the putter. I'll show you the sidearm with the putter, and then I'll also show you the aggressive play. I think that would be like with an EMAC truth or a verdict. Hit it flat, turn the corner a little bit, and then just kind of fade back into the basket. So, see how this goes. Okay, that one actually might be a little bit deep, but I still should easily be able to get up and down for par. The sidearm, I would go with the harp. I wouldn't want to throw it justice because I don't want it to skip and get into the woods. I just want to pretty much hit this flat and just let the stability of the disc carry it down the hill. That one wouldn't be bad. I'm probably in the tree line a little bit. Now, I think I would go with a verdict here. I can pretty much guarantee that this will not be my play because I don't feel comfortable with this shot at all. But for those of you who like to be aggressive and if you like a little bit of a slight turnover with an overstable mid, this would be the line that you, or this would be the shot that you want to throw. I don't know if this would actually be the actual line because I don't know if I'll execute it. Well, as you can see, that's not my best shot, but it's there if you want to try it. Okay guys, and this is why I like this turnover putter play with just a mildly stable putter. Is because I landed here, a good reference point is the short pin. If you have a putt on the short pin, you probably have a long circle 2 look at the long pin here. So I played a very safe shot and I still am gonna have an outside chance at a 2, but pretty much a guaranteed 3. So I'm gonna try to put this in, maybe get a bonus birdie here on this practice round. I am in a tough stance. I gotta beat these trees. I'm gonna try a Anheuser putt. Okay. So I didn't make that, but that'll be a tap in for my 3, and I'm not losing really much on this hole by taking a 3. So that'll be my play on this hole. Moving on to hole 9. Okay guys, so the final hole of the front 9 here is 276 feet. Like I said, hole 8 and hole 9 are 2 of the most difficult holes on the course, I think. I'm really just playing a layup on both of these. I'm throwing that turnover putter on 8, and then on 9, you have a right to left slope on the hill, and both sides of the woods are extremely dangerous, so you don't want to be on either side. Personally, I think this will be the hole that the most people blow up on. Take bogeys, double bogeys, maybe even some triple bogeys. It could bring some high scores because of how thick the woods are, even possible lost discs. So I'm only going to show one shot on this hole, because to be honest, I think the layup play is the only smart play. But I'm just going to go with the sidearm justice, try to put it up at that deep tree in the middle, pitch up for my 3, and just get off the hole. So. I cut that a little bit inside right, but I'll be on the right side of the fairway, which as long as you're not in the woods, is the side that you want to be on. So let's go check that out. Okay, so here really gives you guys a good example to see. Being here on the right side of the fairway very much so opens up your approach into this green. I probably got about 120 feet left. So I'm just going with my BT medium harp. Just here and throwing a little hyzer, slide up to the basket, take an easy 3. Okay, so I didn't get that quite high enough on the hill for the hyzer, but still I'm only like 20 feet, so I'll still be okay with that shot. Okay, that's a confident boosting putt to end the front 9, so that'll be the front 9. I'm sitting at 2 down, tune into the back 9, and I'll show you all how that half the course looks.